In this video, we will register a user, we will log in with that user, and we will get the authenticated user. The way that we will get the authenticated user is via access and refresh tokens. And in the end, we will log out. Before we build the app, I would like to remind you that this video can be combined with other videos. So if you want to use React with any of these backend frameworks and more, because I'm not sure how many backend frameworks I will provide, but your best bet is to check the links in the description of this video, and there you will probably find the backend framework that you like. Also, if you want to build a more complex authentication system, I provided a link for the ultimate authentication course with Node.js and React, but here you can select also your favorite backend framework. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that here in this course you will learn two-factor authentication with Google Authenticator, and also you will authenticate using social authentication with your Google account, and many more concepts. You can get this course via scalablescripts.com, or you can get all my Node.js courses in this case for just $8 a month if you are not from Europe. So now let's build the app. Now let's create the app. We will start by running npx create react app. I'll call the app react auth. And let's wait till this is completed. Now it is finished, and I'll open the project with my IDE. Here I'll open the terminal and run npm start. And this will start our app on port 3000, and this will be our React app. Now let's make some changes. Go to the source folder, delete the test file, we will not use it in this tutorial. Go to app.js, and here we will change the HTML. We will use Bootstrap in this tutorial, so go to getbootstrap.com. Click Get Started, copy the CSS link here, and let's add it to our public index.html. I'll paste it here, and I will save it. Then in our app.js, we need to add another HTML. Go to examples now, and the example that I want to copy is the sign-in form. So we have this sign-in form, and here I will view the page source, and I will copy this HTML from the main tag, and I will replace all this HTML with the main tag there. One thing that you need to change is you need to change class to a class name. My IDE does this automatically, but if yours doesn't, make sure to change the class here to a class name. And also let's remove the image here. Let's remove also this checkbox and this paragraph in the end. And also these inputs, we need to close them, otherwise they throw an error. And that's it. So if we go to our React app now, we'll see this form. Still we need some CSS, which is located here, a link ref sign in CSS. I will click this link, and I'll copy this code. So not all CSS code, but just the form sign in code. I'll copy it and I'll paste it to app CSS. I'll replace every CSS here with this CSS, and our form now will look better. Now let's create some components. So components here. We need in this app 3 components. We will create a login component, a register component, so let me create them, and a home component. So let's go to the login. We will export the function login that in the end will return this HTML from app.js. So I'll move this form to the login here. And here instead we can use login like this. This will work the same. We will see now that our app has not changed. Still, we needed to use React Router DOM now to switch components. So let's do it. Let's open a new tab and install npm install React Router DOM. And from React Router DOM, we need to import some components from React Router DOM. The first one is browser router, which we need to wrap all our components here with the browser router. And inside we will have our routes. So let's add the route for the login. So we need to import routes and route from React Router DOM. We need to add also routes here, and inside the routes we need to add our route that we want. So this route, the path will be /login, and then the component that we need to render is this login component, but we need to use element because this is React Router version 6. And we will use element here, and the element will be this login that we had before. And that's it. So with this we won't see anything unless we go to /login, and here we see our login page. Let's do the same now for the register component. First, let's create the component, export constant register. This will be a function also. And I'll copy the form, I will paste it here, and I'll make changes here. So first here I will rename it to register, and I will add another input which the type is text. This is name, and the label will be just name. In the end, we will submit. And that's it for the register component. Let's add it to the routes as well. I'll duplicate this, and the path now is register. And the component is register here. So don't forget also to import it here. And now if I go to /register, on the browser, we will see the form, and we added another input, the name. So that's it. We added these two routes, but we also need to navigate between two routes instead of just typing the URL. So for that, go back to getbootstrap.com examples and go to the headers now, and we will copy this black header here. So I will inspect this time because it is hard to find it if you view the page source. So I will copy the HTML directly here, and I'll paste it here. Don't forget also to change the class to a class name. And here we will remove this SVG, and for the URLs here I will keep the features, only the features here, not the home. I will remove the home because it's text secondary. I'll keep the features, but I'll rename it to home because I wanted the classes there, because home has a bit of a gray highlight here and I wanted a white one. So I kept the home. I will remove this form, and this is login and sign up. I'll rename this to register. And when we save it, if we go to our React app, it will look better. I will also change the classes here to be the same with login and register, and that should be it. So I will close Bootstrap now. Let's add also the home component. So let's export here a class, a constant home, and for the moment we will return a div saying hello, and we will change this later. Let's add it also to the routes here. So this is the main route, and the element here will be home. And to navigate, because currently we are not navigating between components, we need to change this anchor link to just a link, and that link we need to import it from React Router DOM, and this is link, and it will point to the home route, to the home path. Same will happen for the login and the register. So I'll change this button to a link to login here, and here will be a link to register. And that's it. Now that I saved, when I click login, I will go to the login page. When I click register, I will go to the register page. And when I click home, I'll go to the home page. We can see hello here, but let's change the message in the middle. So I will add here the class name. It will be form sign in. It will be margin top 5 and the text center, and that should be it. I will make this also an h3, and it looks better, so I'll keep it like this. Now let's go to the register and make the registration work. Also make sure that you have the backend running. If you have the backend running, then let's submit this form now. Now for each input, so we have 3 inputs, name, email and password. We have to use the React state, so we have to create a variable name, also a function set name, which will be equal to use state, and the default value will be empty. So for each input we have to do the same. I'll duplicate it 2 more times, and this will be email, set email, and this will be password, set password. And when we make a change to the input here, we will add an on change. I will add it like this. On change, we'll have an event, and we will set the name to event.target.value. When we change the input, we will set the name. Let's do the same for the other inputs. So we will set the email here, and here we will set the password. So we set the values, and now what we need is to send this data to the backend. And for that, we need to submit the form. I will create a function here, submit. And when we submit this form, on submit, we will call this submit function here. This submit function will have an event, and to prevent the form from refreshing, so we can see when we submit here, the form refreshes. To prevent that, we have to use event.prevent_default. If we do that, I refreshed myself now. If we type submit now, we can see that the form is not refreshed. And now we need to send a request to the backend. For that, I will install another package, npm install Axios. And let's import Axios from Axios, and we will send an HTTP request now. I'll make this function asynchronous, and here we will await Axios will send a post request to HTTP localhost port 8000/API/register. So this is the endpoint that we need to register, and the data that we will send are the name, the email, and the password. Like this. Usually we set name is equal to this name, but since the key and the value are the same name, we can just put it like this, and JavaScript will understand this. And that's it. In the end, after we successfully submit, we want to redirect to the login page, and for that we need another variable here, navigate, set navigate is equal to use state, and this time the default value will be false. And in case navigate is true, we want to navigate to the login, which we need to import now, navigate from React router DOM, and here we will return navigate. We need a 2 here /login, and where we will set this navigate to true. If the form is successfully submitted, we will set navigate to true here, and we will successfully redirect to the login page. So with this, let's try to register a user. I will create this user, a8a.com, password is A. We will submit, and if we redirect to the login page, it means that we successfully registered our user. Now let's do the same for the login. Here we need to submit the form, and we need to send less data. We need to send just the email and the password. Still, I will copy from the register all this code here, and I will paste it to the login. Don't forget to import use state here, and also Axios is already imported in my case. Here we don't need the name, so I will remove the name. I will remove it here. We need only the email and the password, and we will post to API/login. When the navigation is true, we will navigate to the home page. And let's add also the changes here when we change the input. So on change, we'll get an event, and we'll set the email to event.target.value. Same will be for the password. Set password. So we will set the email, we'll set the password when we submit the form. So we need to add here on submit. We will call this submit function, and this submit function will post to the login. And now this login will be very tricky, because here we will get an access and a refresh token. The access token, we will get it directly from this request, so we'll get a response, and this response will contain the access token. But we need also a refresh token, and the refresh token, we won't be getting it in the response. The refresh token, we need to add here an option with credentials to true. So we need this option because the refresh token, we will get it via a cookie, and in order to get cookies from requests, we have to add this with credentials to true. And that should be it. So we got the response. Let's console log for the moment. Response.data. And we will not navigate. Let's see what is the response on the server. So here I will inspect. I will go to application, cookies, and for the moment we don't have any cookie. Also the console, I will clear the console. We will check these two tabs now. Now for the user that I just created, I'll put the email address and the password. When I type sign in, I'll get here a refresh token, as you can see. So we can get this refresh token if we add with credentials to true. So we added that refresh token, and if we check here the console, we can see that this other is the access token. For the moment, we are just console logging it. We are not using it. And to use it, I will use it like this. First, we need only the data here, so I'll deconstruct this response. I'll get the data directly like this as a variable. And here, I will add this code. Axios, defaults, headers, common, authorization is equal to a string with bearer, a space, and the second value is this data variable with the token. So like that. What did I do here? Now every request after we login, we will have the authorization header with the bearer token. So this is what is needed to get the authenticated user, which we will get it in the home component. So here I will add another React hook, use effect, and we need to call the backend to get the authenticated user here. The first parameter of useEffect is a function, and the second parameter should be an empty array. If you want to call this function only once, you need to add an empty array here. Otherwise, this will be called a lot. And now in this empty function, we need to send asynchronous requests, but this does not accept async in front of it. So for that, I will make a function that will call itself, and inside I will make an asynchronous function. So this is the way that we can call asynchronous functions. And here we will get a response which is equal to await Axios get, and we want to get the authenticated user from HTTP localhost port 8000/API/user. And the response will get to the authenticated user, and we will display the name here. So I'll create a variable name, set name, which is equal to use state. The default value is empty. And when we get the response, we will get to the data here. So I'll deconstruct the response, and we will set the name to data.name. And that's it. Here I'll change hello to hi name. So that should be it. Now if we go to the home, we are getting hi, but we are not getting the name, because as you can see, the response from the server is unauthenticated. Why is that? The reason is because the token probably expired. So if we want to see the name, we have to log in again, and we can see hi A. A is the name of the user, and as you can see now, we are getting the authenticated user. And if we see the request, we will see that we will have an authorization here, a bearer token in the request. So when we log in here and we set here the authorization for all the requests will have this token. But if we refresh the page, that won't happen anymore. If we see the authorization header does not exist right now. So we have to do something for that. Also, even if we log in, the token will expire in 30 seconds. So in this case, we need to use the refresh token, which is stored in the application cookies here. We have this refresh token, and every time the access token is removed or expired, we need to use this refresh token to generate a new access token. And for that, we need to use Axios middlewares. So I'll create a new directory right now. I'll call it interceptors. And inside, I'll create a new file, Axios. And this file, we need to import it directly here. Import interceptors Axios, like this. So in this file, let's go to axios.js. Here we will first import Axios from Axios, and let's add some default values. The first one is axios.defaults.base URL is equal to a value. So this value, if we go to register and login, it will be this prefix. So I'll cut this code and I'll go to axios.js and I'll paste it here. So all the requests now will have this prefix, and our requests will become much simpler. For example, this one looks better. Let's do the same for the login. We will remove this part here as well. This one looks simpler as well, and in the home we will remove this part, and our app will work the same even if we made this change. So if we try to log in now, we'll see that is working fine. And now let's add the interceptor. So to add the interceptor, add here Axios interceptors response use. So this will have two functions. The first function will get a response, and this is the success case. For this, I will return directly the response. So we don't want to handle the case where the response is successful. We want to handle the case where we have an error, especially an unauthenticated error. So that error is, I'll add an if condition here, if error response that status is it equal to 401. So the server will return this status when we are not authenticated. And if that happens, we will send another request to the backend to refresh the token. So we'll get a response here is equal to await. So let's make this asynchronous. Await here. Axios again will post to the refresh endpoint, and we will send no parameters. This is required, but we also need to send the cookie. Every time we want to send or get the cookie, we have to use with credentials to true. So in the case that we get the authenticated user here, we don't send here the refresh token, we just send here the bearer token. So we send only what is needed. We don't need to send the refresh token here, and the refresh token will be sent only on 3 requests. The login, where we get the refresh token. This request, when we refresh the token, we get a new bearer token. And the last one, we will add it later, is the logout, where we remove the refresh token. So we'll send this request, and the response will get us a new access token. So first we have to check if the response is successful. For that, I'll make a condition if response.status is it equal to 200. So this is the status that the response is successful. For that, then we need to add a new bearer token. I'll copy this code and I'll paste it here. So we will use Axios defaults headers, the authorization header. We'll add the new bearer token, and the token here is response.data and this token. So we added the bearer token, and now we need to redo the previous request. For that, I will return here Axios, and inside I will add error.config. So error.config, this contains all the information regarding the previous request that failed. And if we wrap it with Axios, it means that we have to redo that request again. So when we get the user here, it will fail because the access token will expire. Then we will refresh the token, and then we will do that same request again with the new bearer token. That is the logic here. In the end, if the response status is something different, we have to just return the error like it is. And that should be it. So we added this code now. And what does this code do? First, we can see that we are getting the authenticated user right now. So it seems that is working. If we refresh here, we will see that it is working. We requested for the first time the user, which it failed, and then we requested the refresh token, the refresh endpoint, sorry, which we generated a new token, and we requested again the user, which we got the authenticated user. And that's it, basically. This is how we use refresh tokens. And now what is left is to log out. So let's go to the home. And here I will add a button here. So this will be an anchor link. href will be JavaScript void 0 because we don't want to go anywhere. This will be logout here. Let's add some class names. So class name will be button, button large, and button primary. And it will look like this. Now when we click here, we want to get logged out. So first we need a function, submit, and or I will call this logout. And when we click here on click, we will call the logout function. And here we will call again Axios. So I'll make this asynchronous, and we will await Axios post to the logout function. The second parameter is empty because we don't want to send any data, but we want to send the refresh token. So we need to add with credentials to true. So this is the last endpoint that needs with credentials. All the other endpoints does not need with credentials. And that's it. And after we finish, we want to get redirected to login. Navigate, set navigate is equal to use state false. And we have to set here set navigate not name to true. And I'll go to the register, I'll copy this code because it will be the same. So if the navigate is true, we want to navigate to login. And that's it. So we finished almost everything. When I click Logout now, we will certainly remove the refresh token, but we still have a problem that is happening right now. As we can see, we saw before that we had a lot of requests happening, and when we click Logout, that problem will happen. So let's click Logout. We redirected to the sign-in page and we removed the cookie. But if we go to the home now, we can see that the refresh token is we are sending a lot of requests. So now I will stop the server here and I will restart. So why is that happening? I will refresh again here. That happens because we haven't done the condition that if we are unauthorized and we still send a request to refresh the token, we get again unauthorized and we send it again. So this will be an infinite loop. So we have to call this refresh endpoint only once. And to do that, we need to use another variable. I'll create here a variable let refresh equals to false. And I will add the condition here. If the status is 401 and it is not refreshed, then we will refresh. So when we go here, I'll make refresh to true. And if this fails, we will go to this condition, but refresh this time will be true. So we will go down here. And here I will set refresh again to false. And that's it. This is what we needed. So this will make sure that we will send only one request to the refresh and we will not have an infinite loop. So with this, I'll go to the home now, and for sure we are requesting it only once. We are sending a request to the user, we get unauthenticated, and now we will send the request again to the refresh token, which we will get again unauthenticated. But the request is only once. And when we are unauthenticated, I don't want to stay on this page. So let's go to the home. I'll wrap this with a try catch. And if an error happens, we are unauthenticated, I will set navigate to true. So I want to redirect to the login page. So if I go to the home now, I cannot go. I'm getting redirected to login, and we need to login in order to go to this page. And that's it. This is how we login using Axios and refresh tokens. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you.